So I picked up the Kiss Quotient by Helen Hoang kind of on a whim. I was at Barnes & Noble trying to pick up Queen's Shadow and I saw this beautiful blue cover out of the corner of my eye, and I have no self-control, so I bought it because I heard it was really good and I recognized the title, and I thought this was a really fun read. It only took me about 3 days to get through. My best friend, she got through it in like 2 days. She liked it even more than I did, and I would personally rate this one 3 out of 5 stars. It is all about this woman named Stella, and she's like really into her job, and she has autism spectrum disorder, and her parents are really pressuring her to like find a husband, like settle down, get married. The problem is she feels like she doesn't know what she's doing, both romantically and sexually. So naturally, she feels like the most logical solution, which it kind of is to hire someone to teach her. And that person is a male escort, Michael, who he himself feels like he's letting his family down. He feels like he's scared that he's going to be just like his father. He feels all this pressure to take care of his family financially. And so that's kind of how these two characters meet. And of course, there's like this big will they, won't they fall in love, classic romance thing. So first of all, what I really liked about this book is how much heart there was. These characters were written really well. Like, they were both well-rounded. We got to see inside their heads a lot. It wasn't all just like kissy kissy. Like, they both had like a beautiful internal life that was like, they were similar, but also like so different. It was like a really beautiful thing to see. Another really cool thing is that our author actually also has autism spectrum disorder. So in the back, she kind of talks about how that helped her write this character, and how Stella was the easiest character she's ever written because she felt like she was just like her. So I think that gives us like a really like accurate description of what romance is like for someone who has mild autism and things like that. So it was really, really beautiful to see that. This book is also really funny. My friend Madison was just here. She was reading it and she kept like laughing out loud, gasping. Like, there's a lot of plot, like a lot is going on, which I really liked because it kept me interested the entire time. Something I didn't love, it's not that this was bad, I just didn't like love it, is like it's 50% sex scenes, which makes sense because she's falling in love with a prostitute, but it's just it's not gratuitous because the writing is done really well, and the whole point is that she wants to learn how to have a better sexual relationship, and it's really beautiful because he's like really respectful of her comfort zones, and there's like a lovely arc throughout the book. But my personal taste, I just didn't love that. I thought maybe it was a little more than we needed, but then again, that's just my personal opinion. Another thing I didn't love is this idea that they kind of like saved each other. Like, there's this whole plot line that we get right at the beginning where she's thinking about going out with this man she works with who literally is sexually harassing her. So Michael kind of saves her from him, and she saves him from this like these dark inner demons where he feels like he's not good enough and he's holding himself back. So, well, I don't think their relationship is necessarily unhealthy or problematic. I just like wasn't into that part of it. Like, I didn't love that. But then again, there's a lot of other wonderful things that make their relationship nice. Another crazy thing is there's a lot of like Deus Ex Machina in here. Like, I don't want to tell you what happens, but there's some problems, and at the end, like, there's this magical surprise that happens that kind of fixes it all. Although that kind of goes with the genre, so it's not out of place. I think I'm just not a big romance person, but for this book, I definitely like thought it was worth my time, and I really enjoyed reading it, again, because it had so much heart and I fell in love with these characters. Plot-wise, I wasn't a huge fan, but I'm sure my friends would disagree because they really, really liked it. So I definitely would recommend this book, especially if you love romance. If you don't love romance, I still think you would like it. Because, like I said like 1,000 times, the characters have a lot of heart and a beautiful internal life, and the plot is just pretty funny and silly, and it's a fun read, especially if you've been reading something darker. Bonus, this has nothing to do with the author or the book or anything, but I just have to tell you guys, the discussion questionnaires at the end of this book are so cringy. Like, they're bad. Like, when I was reading them, I was like, oh Oh God. Let's see. Prior to reading this book, how would you have imagined an autistic woman? How does Stella compare to this vision? Does it surprise you to see an autistic person exploring a sexual relationship? If so, why? Like, I get what they were going for, like this book kind of gives you a new perspective that maybe a lot of people haven't heard before, and they're trying to get, you know, book clubs to talk about it. But the way they're phrasing it, just personally, I find like very cringy and a little bit like they're just assuming they're talking to like ignorant people. Like, have you ever heard of an autistic person before? What do you think now? And it's kind of just like uncool, in my opinion. There's another fun part where it says, when it comes to heterosexual relationships, do you think men should be the initiators? What does it say about a woman if she asks out of man? It just feels to me like the questions are like leading the witness. Like, they're phrased to assume that you have like a certain preconceived notion, and I just find it really cringy. But, you know, I guess if it's bringing up discussion, then who am I to complain? So, long story short, you should read this book. It's really good.